We want to bring in now Jacob Meikel. He's on the phone. He was there and witnessed the shooting at the parade. He's also a journalist for News Press now. Jacob, tell us what you witnessed.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. From my vantage point, myself nor my colleague actually saw what had happened as far as the shooting goes. What we did see was people start to run away from the scene, which happened near the intersection of what looks to be Pershing and Kessler Road here in downtown Kansas City. People started to run away from that scene towards Union Station. And then as minutes started to pass, people were starting to run out of Union Station. And that's when you started to see armed military personnel and police start to converge on into Union Station to potentially address a threat. We still don't know that much information about if there are any casualties in this situation. They've moved media pretty far away from the scene right now. The most heavily taped off area is, again, like we had just mentioned, that near that intersection of Pershing and Kessler. So we're waiting to hear more. But once we hear that, we're expected to hear from the Kansas City Police media team very shortly here. So once we get information, we'll relay it back to you guys.
And Jacob, help us understand the connection or the timeline between the conclusion of the celebratory parade. The last that we checked in live, Patrick Mahomes was up with the Lombardi Trophy, and it was very jubilant. And the next time we check in, an hour or so later, there's what seems like a scene of chaos. So give us the sense of the timeline from when the event concluded and what you saw first that made you realize something was wrong. And I'm also just curious about the crush of people and how confusing that moment must have been for everyone.
Yeah, I would say the timeline was probably roughly 10 to 15 minutes as far as once the celebration was over. I mean, there was still a good amount of fans still around, and they were still trying to file out of the area. It's a very heavily crowded area, obviously a very large police team here for a celebration that was supposed to be for the Kansas City Chiefs winning back-to-back Super Bowls. And then all of a sudden chaos started to break out. We see people running away from certain areas of where fans were, and you could see people were very shaken up. We've seen multiple people leave on stretchers in this situation. So it's a very chaotic scene, and right now it looks as though police are just trying to get more information from witnesses that saw what had happened. But yeah, a very chaotic scene, and on a day that was supposed to be a great celebration.
And Jacob, you're still there, I'm understanding. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
What is the posture of the police like now? We understand that the people who have largely cleared out of the area were shaken by it, but sometimes you can tell a lot from the demeanor of the law enforcement authorities that you still see there. Can you tell us anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the police and their demeanor, I mean, they're very much on their toes right now. They're still very much spread out across the area, mostly around Union Station right now. They prepared for things like this. You can tell based on the way they were, of course, instructing people to move away from the scene, wanting to clear ways for medical teams to get through. And right now, they seem to be very prepared for a situation like this. Yeah.
And we understand, Jacob, that police have set up a reunification area for children, for parents who have been separated from their kids. And you also were able to record or shoot some footage yourself that we're able to show our viewers. Talk to me about the reunification efforts, if you see any folks getting back together, and what your footage shows us.
I did not see a lot of the reunification aspect of it, as I was still kind of being cleared away from the scene. Right now, we're just kind of huddled together with the rest of the local media here in Kansas City, just waiting to hear more information. But as I alluded to earlier, there was a lot of people shaken up by what they had seen earlier. And what started with, from my vantage point, what sounded like fireworks going off. Apparently, that wasn't what that was. And that's when everyone started to flee away from the scene near that intersection close to Union Station here.
And Jacob, this video that we're seeing that you shot, we see a lot of law enforcement officers running into a building. We see that there are some, looks like Kansas City fans alongside them. Where are they going? What can you tell us about what you witnessed with this?
Yeah, so they're going into Union Station, and from what we know, Union Station is where all this celebration had happened. That's where the Kansas City Chiefs players were, of course, on stage. They were to actually exit, I believe, into Union Station once the celebration was over. So the hope is that we can figure out why so many police and military personnel converged into that area, if there was a potential threat possibly, or if they just wanted to make sure that players and coaches and everyone involved with the team was safe once the celebration was over.
Well, it really speaks to how fluid the situation still is. And I wonder if those people running along with the police dressed in red with Kansas City shirts might be plainclothes police officers or undercover cops, which might also be a part of the posturing today of hundreds. Jacob, we appreciate you spending some time with us. I'm just wondering, throughout all of this, if it shook you in any way and just how unnerving an experience this is for you and other people there today.
Yeah, well, this is a situation in my journalism career, reporting career, I've never had to deal with. And when you go to something like this, your assignment usually is to just, get reactions from fans and kind of set the scene with people just having fun and celebrating, the game of football that brings so many people together, and the fact that the Chiefs have been winning games. All of a sudden, everything kind of takes a left turn and you have to pivot. And for me, it's been a lot to take in. I've never had to deal with something like this before. But, I can only speak for myself. I'm sure there are a lot of people involved that aren't in my position, or the other fellow media members that I'm here with. For those people, I'm sure are very shaken by what has happened. I've seen a lot of reaction from people on social media saying, Kansas City's better than this. People just very disappointed at what has transpired today.
Yeah. Jacob Meikel, thank you so much for bringing us your firsthand account.